Okay. So we had seen that the first register of your 80386 was the general purpose registers, GPR. How many general purpose registers we had? We had 8 general purpose register: accumulator, base register, count register, data register, ES register, that is SI, that is nothing but the source index register, destination index register, base pointer, and stack pointer. To each and every of these register, a E is added as a prefix, which means extended, and that extended means 32 bits. Then we had seen it all. We also have a segment register. Segment register are code segment, stack segment, data segment, extra segment, FS and GS segment. Again, all of these segments, the function of all these segments are similar to the functions of 8086 segment register, but instead of 16 bits, they will now be used as 32 bits. Then the instruction pointer of 8086 was of 16 bits. Here we have it of 32 bits. We had also seen that there are different flag register, out of which carry flag, parity flag, auxiliary carry, zero, sign, trap, interrupt, and directional and overflow. All these 9 flags remain common to 8086. 8086 flag register is of 16 bits because there the data bus and address bus is of 8 and 16 and 20 bits. But here in 80386, we have the flag register of 32 bits. Why it is 32 bits? Because the data bus and address bus of 80386 is of 32 bits, out of which bits from 18 to 31 are reserved for Intel. That means when I'm going to use my Intel as a processor, at that time these bits will be used, but until then they will be reserved, or they won't be used by 80386 processor. Then we had seen some flags called as virtual mode. Then we had seen RF flag, we had seen NT flag and IOPL flag. Now, what was the function of the virtual mode flag? If the bit was set to 1, it was behaving like 8086 microprocessor. But if the bit was set to 0, it was behaving like a normal 80386 processor. Then we had seen RF flag, which was resume flag. That means when the bit was set, it was acting as a debugging register. That means it was activating the debugging register and doing the debugging of your programs. Then we had seen the interrupt enable flag. So if the bit is set, your interrupt will be activated, and you, depending on what kind of interrupt it is, a hardware interrupt or a software interrupt or a program interrupt, it is a choice on a user whether if it has to be entertained or it has to be ignored. Then we had a directional flag. So bit was set to either 0 or 1. If it is set to 0, it was accessing the lower bits and then the higher bits. But if it was set to 1, it was accessing the higher bits and then the lower bits of the string. Then we had seen IO privilege flag. So this is IOPL flag. So if the bit is set to 1, that means it is executing the IO operations or IO related functions. But if the bit is set to 0, that means it is not having any IO functions or IO operations to be done. Then we had seen the NT flag, that is nested task flag. So if my program has some nesting into it, the flag will be set to 1. If there is no nesting in the program, it will be set to 0. So by looking at this bit, I can understand my program has to do any kind of nesting or not. Then we had separate debugging registers apart from all these 32 bits. We had total 6 debugging registers: D0 to D3, D6 and D7. What was the function of these registers is to check each and every line of execution of the program and add the breakpoints. What was that breakpoint doing? So the next time after the problem is being resolved, the program will not start its execution from the start, but it will start from the breakpoint where it had stopped the execution. So where is the details of all these breakpoints stored? It is stored in your debugging register, either 0, 1, 2, 3, 6 or 7. Then we had seen a test register. What was that test register? We had 2 test registers, 6 and 7. What was the function of these 2 registers? It was checking the memory or testing the memory. If my memory is a kind of a paging memory, if it is segment, this bit will be always set to 0. If my memory is paging memory, then only it is going to use this test register. So the bit is either set to 1 and 0. And what it is checking the TLB part of a paging. What is that TLB part? It was translation look aside buffer, which means what? I am going to load only those pages into the memory which I want or which is being needed for the execution. Instead of loading all the pages, bring only those pages which are required for the purpose of execution. So that was a function of your TLB, and the testing details were stored into TR6 and TR7. Okay. Then we had seen the instruction format of 80386. So this format is same for even 8085, 8086, 80286 and 386 also. What is that instruction format? It is divided into two. The first part is called as opcode. That is the name of an instruction. And second part is nothing but the address or the operand from where that instruction or the data of the instruction has to be accessed. We had seen the three types: three address instructions where I have three operands or three address, two address instructions where I have two address or two operand, and one address instruction where I have only one address or one operand. But before I select this format, or before I decide on this instruction length, what do I have to check is I have to look after the certain factors. So these factors will be allowing me to decide what should be your length of the address. Generally, the length of the address is depending upon the length of your or the size of your address bus and data bus. It cannot be more than that. So since 80386 is of 32 bits, so my instruction length will also be of 32 bits. It cannot be more than that. Why? Because it is said that your instruction cannot be more than the size of your data bus and address bus. Okay. But what are the factors that are used for designing or for deciding this instruction length? I have to see the memory size. I have to see the organization, the transfer length, and the memory actual transfer of the data inside the memory. Since therefore, I have decided that the instruction length should also be 32 bits with respect to 80386 processor. Okay. So today we'll be starting different addressing modes. So what we have learned over here is, up till here, we know the architecture, we know what registers we have, we know how the instructions or what are the instructions and how that instructions are designed for 80386. Now let us see what is addressing mode of 80386. Some of these addressing modes are common with respect to 8085 and 8086 also. What do you mean by addressing mode? Addressing mode helps us to understand the type of operand and the way they are accessed during execution. When I'm making this instruction, a set of instructions when I'm making, these instructions has to be understood, or we have to identify that what type of instruction it is, what is this operand going to do, where it is going to transfer the data, and what operation it is going to perform. So all these details are given by whom? They are given by the addressing mode. That is, what type of operand is used and how it is to be accessed in your execution is told by your addressing mode. Now let us see the first type of addressing mode called as immediate addressing mode. Now what is happening? All of these instructions belong to one of these addressing modes which we'll be learning. Okay, some of them may belong to immediate, some of them may belong to direct, some of them may belong to register. So how we are going to identify them and how they are going to be executed by the system, that is what the addressing mode talks about. Okay, so let us see the first one, immediate addressing mode. In this type of mode, immediate data is a part of an instruction. So when I write an instruction, the data is directly a part of an instruction. That means I have to mention the data in the instruction itself. Okay. Transfer the source and immediate byte or word of data into the destination register or a memory location. What am I doing in this instruction? How am I reading? Add R1, R2. How do I read this? Add the contents of R2 with the contents of R1 and store the result in R1. But what is this R1 and R2? They are registers right now. I have to go inside R1, take the value as 1, go into R2, take the value as 2, then add this 2 with 1 and then store the result 3 in R1. So if you see in this instruction, I have not passed the data, but I have passed the registers. So when I pass a data, I call it as immediate addressing mode. Let us see now. Example, move AX, 2550H. What is this? Move 2550H data directly into the register AX. Sorry. Okay. So since I have used immediately the data instead of register, I call it as immediate addressing. Is this understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, look the next example. Move CX comma 625. So load the value, load the data 625 directly into CX. That is, move the value 625 directly into the register CX. Move BL comma 40H. Move directly the value 40H into the register BL. Okay. So when I'm using a data directly and giving it to the register, I call it as immediate addressing. Why? Because there is an immediate data which is a part of a instruction itself. So since this is an instruction and a data is a part of an instruction and it is moved immediately, I do not have to go into the register and take the data. Therefore, it is considered to be as an immediate addressing. Okay. Let us look into the next addressing mode called as direct addressing mode. In this type of addressing mode, a 16-bit memory address is directly specified in the instruction as a part of it. What is it? 16-bit ka memory address is used in the instruction. Data is not used, 16-bit memory address is used. Okay. Now, do you know what is memory address? 0000H is the address where my data 35 is stored. So what is the 0000? It is nothing but the address. So now in the instruction, I'm not going to give the value 35, but I will be giving the address as 0000. If I want to access a data 45, which is at the location 0003. So what will I give in the instruction? In direct addressing, I will give the instruction as go and access the data at 0003. Why? Because direct says that go and take the address and then take the data. Okay, let us see in the example. So I have a memory where 22 and 23 is nothing but the data. 5000 is the address, 5001 is the address, 5002 is the address. So when I say move AX comma 5000H, what did I pass in my instruction? I passed a memory address. What will this instruction do? It will go into 5000H, it will extract this 22 and then it will store this 22 in this AX register. So since I am using a memory address of 16-bit in my addressing mode or in my instruction, I call that addressing mode as direct addressing. Did I use data 22 over here? No. If I use data 22, then it will become immediate addressing. It will not become direct addressing. But when I use a memory address over here or a memory location over here, I call it as a direct addressing. Is this understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have seen immediate addressing mode. We have seen direct addressing mode. Now we will be seeing register addressing mode. What is register addressing mode? Transfer a copy of a byte or a word from a source register or from a memory location to a destination register or to a memory location. That means what will be getting transferred? Either a byte or a word. Byte means 16. A byte means how much? 8 bits. And word means how much? 16 bits. Yes or no? Yes, no? Do you know 1 byte is...
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Do you know 1 byte means how much and 1 word is equal to how much?
1 byte is
Yes.
8 bits and
1 word
word
is 16
is,
bits.
I don't
16 bits.
know. 16.
Okay. So 1 byte means 8 bit. 2 byte means 16 bits. 1 word means 16 bits. 2 word means 32 bits. Double hoga. Okay. So what am I going to transfer? Either 8 bits if it is 1 byte or 16 bits if it is 1 word. किधर से किधर ट्रांसफर होगा? From the source register to destination register or from the source memory address to a destination memory address. ठीक है? Let us see the example. Move BX comma DX. Am I using a data over here? No. So it cannot be an immediate addressing. Am I using one memory location and one address and one register? No. If it is one address and one register, it is direct. I am using 2 register. Therefore, it is called as register addressing, where one of them is source and another is destination. Which is the source? DX is the source. We read it ulta. Okay. Assembly language mein we have to read it ulta from the end. So this becomes the source and this becomes your destination. So DX is your source, BX is your destination. So do you have a source register? Yes. Which is that? DX. Do you have a destination register? Yes. Which is BX. Are they both a part of an instruction? Yes, they are part of an instruction. Move BX comma DX. So what is this? This addressing is called as register addressing. What will do? What will this particular instruction do? It will go into the DX register. whatever data is there in the DX register will be copied as it is into the BX register. Is this understood? So when I have two, yes. So when I have two registers, if one is acting as source and other is acting as destination, I call it as register addressing. Or what it is told, either source register, destination register, or source location or memory location. So now look into the chat box. If I write move 2000H, 3000H, if I have an instruction like this, do I have both memory address? Yes. So when I have both memory address, out of which one is destination and one is source, which is the source, 3000 is a source, which is a destination, 2000 is a destination. So if I have an instruction like this, I can call this instruction also as a register addressing. ठीक है? तो या फिर दोनों register होंगे या फिर दोनों के address होंगे. एक का address एक का destination ऐसा नहीं होगा. अगर ऐसा हुआ तो then it will be direct addressing. It won't be considered as a register addressing. Let us look into another example. Move ES, AX. So what is this? Again, both the register, therefore it is called as register addressing. So move the contents, that is copy the contents of AX and store it inside ES. Add AL, BH. Are they both registers? Yes. That is, add the contents of BH with the contents of AL and store the result in AL. That means I will go into the BH register, take the value, for example, 3. Go into the AL register, take the value as 2. Do the addition of the contents of BH, that is 3, and AX, that is 2. Add 3 plus 2 and store the result 5 inside AL. Is this understood? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have So we have seen immediate addressing, direct addressing, and register addressing. Immediate में क्या है? Data ही instruction में दिया है. Therefore, it is called as immediate. What is direct? One is register, other is a memory location. So directly move from memory location to that register. What is register addressing? In the instruction, both of them are register or both of them are memory location. Next we have is register indirect. Now what is there in register indirect? Transfer a byte or a word between a register and a memory location addressed by the index or a base register. Now, do we know which is the base register? Yes. If you know the register organization properly, my BX is the base register. Okay. Which are my index register? Source index and destination index are my index register. क्योंकि उनके नाम में ही index है, therefore they are called as index register. So SI and DI are the index register, which are nothing but the part of a general purpose register. And I have base register, which is BX. Okay. So your register indirect is going to operate either with base register or index register. Now let us see how it is going to be written as. What it is told, either 8-bit or 16-bit, between where they are going to transfer between register and memory location addressed by index or base register. That means either index रहेगा नहीं तो base रहेगा, दोनों में से कोई एक रहेगा. Okay. So what were the base? Which was the base register? BX was the base register. Which were the index register? It was either source index SI and the destination index DI. So when I give you an example, move SI, AX. Okay. Is this instruction using either base or index register? Yes, it is using index register, which is that SI. Therefore, this instruction belongs to a register indirect. Move the contents of AX, that is accumulator, into the source index register. ठीक है, इंस्ट्रक्शन में या फिर इंडेक्स रजिस्टर है या फिर बेस रजिस्टर है, तो दैट इंस्ट्रक्शन इज कॉल्ड एज अ रजिस्टर इनडायरेक्ट एड्रेसिंग मोड. Look at the next instruction. Move AX, BX. Does it have a index register? No. But does it has a base register? Yes. BX is a base register. So if an instruction has a base register, then it is called as register indirect addressing mode. How do we read this? Move the contents of BX into AX. Now look into your chat box. If I give you an instruction like this, move BI, AX. Can you call it as a register indirect addressing mode? Yes. Why?
Yes.
Because DI is your index register. But if I give you an instruction, look into your chat box, move AX, CX. Will you tell me this is a register indirect? No. This will be register direct, because first I checked, it is not having base register, it is neither having index register, so it is not register indirect. But since both of them are register, so it is register addressing mode. Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now next addressing mode is base plus index addressing mode. बेस प्लस इंडेक्स मींस उसको बेस रजिस्टर भी रहेगा और इंडेक्स रजिस्टर भी रहेंगे. रजिस्टर इनडायरेक्ट में क्या रहा था, दोनों में से कोई एक ही है, आइदर इट विल बी बेस रजिस्टर और इट विल बी इंडेक्स रजिस्टर. बट हियर सिंस द नेम टेल्स बेस प्लस इंडेक्स, तो बेस रजिस्टर भी रहेगा, इंडेक्स रजिस्टर भी रहेगा. किधर रहेगा? इन द इंस्ट्रक्शन इटसेल्फ. So if you see the instruction move AX comma BX SI, does it has an index register? Yes. SI is the index register. Does it have a base register? Yes. BX is a base register. So since it has both, therefore this entire instruction is called as base plus index addressing mode. Now look into the chat box. If I write move CX comma BX comma DI, is it a base plus index addressing mode? Yes. Why? Because it has a index register which is DI. It has a base register which is BX. So since it has both, therefore it is called as base plus index addressing mode. Now what am I doing with this base? Yes.
Ma'am, here there is no comma between base and base register and index register.
So I have written it wrong. Okay, my instruction should be move CX comma BX and space DI. Okay, why there is no space and why there is plus, that is what we will talk about now. What it is doing, if I put a comma, it becomes two separate register. So I don't want to make them separate, but I want to add them. Therefore, I have written plus over here. So now if you see this diagram, what is happening? At 3000, I have a value 12. At address 3001, I have value 34. What I am doing is I am going to make the value 3000H. Okay. What value will be stored inside my 3000H? The contents of addition of 10 plus 20. Okay. Initially it is 12. Before the operation is performed, before this operation is performed, the content of 3000H is 12. After this operation will be performed, the contents will get changed. Okay. So BX में क्या है? 1000 plus SI में क्या है? 2000, which will make what? 3000H. Okay. So I am going to identify my data by using the address. ठीक है. BX and SI का address कहाँ से मिलेगा? When I combine both of them. ठीक है. BX का एड्रेस क्या है? 1000 is the address. SI का एड्रेस क्या है? 2000 is the address. So when I add them both, what do I get? I don't get the data, but I get the address. तो एड्रेस में जाके डेटा लेना है, and then that data has to be moved inside AX. So if I want this 3001, what will I write? 1000 plus 203000. Are you understanding? What did I say? Are you understanding? Yes or no?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Can you repeat?
Yes. What is happening? How do we read this instruction? Move the contents of BX and SI into the contents of AX. ठीक है. तो BX और SI क्या है? रजिस्टर है जिसका लोकेशन मुझे पता रहेगा. डेटा होता तो इधर डायरेक्ट डेटा है. अगर डेटा होता तो इट वुड बी लाइक अ इमीडिएट एड्रेसिंग. बट रजिस्टर है तो क्या है? आई हैव टू गो टू द लोकेशन ऑफ दैट रजिस्टर एंड देन टेक अ डेटा. तो मुझे BX और SI से क्या मिलेगा? दोनों का लोकेशन ज्वाइन, दोनों का वैल्यू ज्वाइन करके आई विल गेट अ लोकेशन. फिर वो लोकेशन पे जाके आई विल टेक अ डेटा एंड देन आई विल मूव दैट डेटा इनसाइड द AX रजिस्टर. ठीक है. तो अभी डेटा जो एड्रेस है वो एड्रेस, हाउ एम आई गोइंग टू मेक अ एड्रेस? आई विल बी एडिंग BX एंड SI. व्हेन आई ऐड देम, व्हाटएवर वैल्यू आई गेट, आई विल डायरेक्टली गो टू दैट पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन. ठीक है. तो अभी BX का एड्रेस क्या था? 1000, वो मैंने एज इट इज लिख दिया. SI का एड्रेस क्या था 2000. I copied as it is. What I have to do, I have to plus them. Both of them is plus. So when I plus 1000 plus 2000, I get 3000H. So what will I do is, I have got the address of BXSI. What is that address? 3000H. Now I will go inside 3000H and I will take a data 12, and that 12 data will be copied into this register. So what will be written in AX 1 and 2 will be written. Now if I have a memory location 4000 where my data 13 is stored, so how will I write an instruction? Move AX comma BX SI. But what will be there in BX? The address of BX will be 2000. Address of SI will also be 2000. So when I add 2000 plus 2000, I get 4000. So I will go to the location 4000. I will take that data 13 and copy that 13 into AX. Is this now understood?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Okay, so that is what is base plus index register. So you have to add दोनों का address to get the actual address where the data is stored. डेटा 1000 और 2000 में नहीं है, डेटा किधर है 3000 में. तो कहाँ से मिला? दोनों को ऐड करके. क्यों दोनों को ऐड करना है? Because it is that type of addressing mode which is telling me to add the contents of base register with the value of index register and then find out the actual address of the actual data. Is this clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with
Yes,
this
ma'am.
we complete all the addressing modes. Have you understood all of them? We have seen immediate addressing, जिधर instruction में direct data है, data को उठाओ और जिधर बोला है उधर register में डाल दो. Second, we had seen what is direct addressing. Direct addressing में क्या है? एक register है, एक memory location है. तो जो memory location में जो data है उसको वो register में डाल दो. Third, we had seen only register addressing. What is register addressing telling? Both of them will be register, but what will happen? Either it will be base register or it will be index register. ठीक है? What does register indirect is telling me? Register indirect is telling me that it. No, I think I just confused. अच्छा, register addressing is what? Both of them are register, and register indirect is either it will be your source index or it will be either it will be index register or it will be base register. And it is, if it is base plus index means it has to be both compulsory. And what do we get in that both is, we get the memory address. We have to add that memory address to get the actual data. Are all the addressing modes clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we do the next topic, that is RISC and CISC architecture. Now, what does this RISC and CISC architecture means? They are nothing but a processor. How we have 8085, 86, 386, i5, i3, i7 like that. Your RISC and CISC are also a processors. Okay. What does RISC stand for? Reduced Instruction Set Computer. And what does CISC stands for? It is Complex Instruction Set Computer. So RISC का R stands for reduce and CISC का C stands for complex. Okay. Now what does your RISC say? It is designed to perform small number of instruction. अगर मेरे small instructions है for execution, so which processor I will use to execute those smaller instructions? I will use a RISC processor. Okay, so if my instructions are very small, I will use RISC processor. It operates at a very high speed. Why it will operate as a high speed? Because instructions are smaller, so it will not going to take much time to execute. So the speed is also very high. How much is the speed? It is million instructions per second. That means एक second में how many instructions can be executed? Million instructions. So just imagine वो instructions कितने small होंगे. Okay. So if it executes very small instructions, the speed is also high. Why it is high? Because it is executing very small instructions. How many instructions it can execute in 1 second is million instruction per second. Therefore, it is called as MIPS, million instruction per second. It reduces the cycle for every instruction that it executes. Now, what is happening? Every instruction has a cycle. What is that cycle? Fetch the instruction, decode the instruction, and execute the instruction. Look into the chat box. IF, ID, IE. What does this mean? Instruction fetch, instruction decode, instruction execute. Instruction fetch means I will just take that instruction. ठीक है, अगर ये instruction है मेरा, if this is an instruction, move SI, AX. what will happen in the fetch cycle, it will just take that instruction for execution. मतलब मैंने ले लिया है, system ने accept कर लिया है as a input. So that is what is fetch. Decode means what? Now will the system understand what is MOV? नहीं. System understands only 0 and 1. So what will system do? System will convert this MOV into some number, SI into some number, AX into some number. Okay. What are those numbers called? They are called as mnemonics. I am writing it into the chat box. They are called as mnemonics. Okay. You will understand this in much detail when you do microprocessor in the 4th semester. Okay. You have either you can execute these programs on computer, or you execute these ALP, that is assembly language microprocessor programs on kit. Now how is that kit? Let me show you on a Google. Just a minute. Can you see the kit in the diagram, in the image?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have a kit like this. Okay, for every processor the kits are different. Okay, nowadays processor won't have these kits also. So these were there for olden 8085, 8086. ये जो processors है ना उसको kits होते हैं. अभी के processor does not have kits. Now what is happening? Can you see numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 written on the kits? Yes. Can you see MOV written somewhere? No. Can you see add written somewhere? No. So what is going to happen if I have an instruction like this? Look into the chat box. Move AX comma BX. ऐसा instruction है. So can I input this instruction from this particular kit? No, because I nowhere have MOV. I neither have AX. I neither have BX. तो system को input ही नहीं जाएगा, उसको समझेगा ही नहीं. But what is happening? Instruction fetch cycle में system instruction तो ले लेगा, move AX comma BX. But when it comes to this decode ID, instruction decode cycle, what is happening? This MOV gets converted into some number. See as 32. For MOV, the number is 32. Okay. So what I will input over here through the keyboard is 32. So what will this kit understand? 32 means move है. ठीक है. For example, AX के लिए 12 है suppose. So what will the system understand when I input 12? It is a register AX. When I key in 14, what will a system understand? It is BX called as 14. So what it will do, it has three numbers now, 32, 12 and 14, which means move for 32 for move, 12 for AX, 14 for BX. Okay. So this is happening in your instruction decode cycle. Your instruction are getting converted into mnemonics. Okay. Let me show you the mnemonics table also, but this keeps on changing from processor to processor. Okay. So let me show you for 8085. Mnemonic periodic table for 8085.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you got disconnected or I got disconnected.
No. Acha. Can you see this tab?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
yes. Can you see different instructions? NOP. Let me zoom in a little. Okay. Can you see this instruction? INXB, INRB, DCRB, MVIB, comma D8, DADB. Can you see all the instructions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. In front of instructions, can you see some numbers 00, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05 like this? Yes. Can you
Yes.
see? Huh. So what will I do? If I have an instruction NOP, I will not type NOP on this kit. What I will type is I will type 00. If I have an instruction LXI B comma D16, what will I type? I will type 01 on the kit. If I want to type INXB, how will I type? I will type a code as 0, 3. So can you see for every instruction, there are multiple codes written. Can you see them? So how is system understanding? System is understanding with the help of these opcodes. Okay. Therefore, your instruction is also divided into opcode and operand. Can you recollect that now? Yes or no? Okay. So what is happening? Your instruction has a cycle. In first cycle, instruction is fetched. In second cycle, your decoding is done. A decoding of such type. Okay, numbering is being given to each and every instruction. And in the IE cycle, that is instruction execution cycle, your instruction will actually be executed. तो अगर add लिखा है तो वो add करेगा, move लिखा है तो move करेगा, subtract लिखा है तो subtract करेगा. Okay. So जो ये 3 cycles है, ये cycle का काम or the work or the speed of the cycle is also more if it is your RISC architecture. Are you understanding now? So what is this RISC going to do? First of all, it takes only small instruction for execution. Those instruction cycles are also small because again the instruction is small. Again the speed is also very high. Why? Because the instructions are also very small. Okay. So what are the characteristics of RISC? It is simple. It has very simple instructions for execution. Therefore, the decoding of the instruction is also very simple. Instruction come under the size of one word. कितना है साइज का इंस्ट्रक्शन? 1 वर्ड से भी छोटा. तो 1 word is how much? 16 bits. So your instruction का size of your RISC processor is how much? It is less than 16 bits. Okay. Instruction take a single clock cycle to execute. Clock cycle means, if you remember, there are 2 types of clocks, synchronous and asynchronous. What do you mean by synchronous? Synchronous means it will wait for a signal, and asynchronous means it will not wait for any signal. So how is your system understanding to work? It works on the tick of your clock. Okay, tick of your clock means it is we can say it is some kind of a voice or a noise generated to the processor to indicate a processor to start its working. Okay, so single clock means 1 tick, double clock means 2 tick, like that. So your instructions of RISC is going to work or going to be executed in 1 clock. मतलब एक tick के अंदर ही your instructions will be executed. So they are that small and it is less than 16 bits. So it will not take more than 1 clock cycle to get executed. More number of general purpose register. What are the general purpose? Your RISC processor has more number of general purpose registers. How your 80386 has 8 general purpose register. Similarly, your RISC also has general purpose registers which are more in numbers. It has simple addressing modes. We have addressing modes in 80386. Same types of addressing modes or little more than that will be there in your RISC processor also. It has very less data types. Less data type means your this move, then addition, subtraction. Addition, subtraction belong to a category of arithmetic. Then your complement A, complement B, all comes under the group called as complementers. Then rotate, shift, all these comes under rotate. Then loop, for loop, branching, all these come, jump, not jump, all these comes under branching. So you have different instruction sets or different instruction types, or they are called as data type. Arithmetic का एक group, branching का एक group, rotate का एक group, shifting का एक group, complement का एक group, like that. Okay. So these such type of data types are also very less. Okay. Pipeline can be achieved. Pipeline means simultaneous execution of the instructions is achieved inside your RISC architecture or inside your RISC processor. Now let us see into the architecture of RISC. It has 9 functional units. Architecture has how many components? How many units? It has 9 units. How many data paths are there? From 32 to 128 bits, which means what? Your data size or data bus size can vary from 32 to 128, but it starts from how much? 32 bits. So your internal, external data buses of how many bits? 32 bits, but it can be extended up till 128 bits. Okay. Your instruction cache is of 4K bytes. Instruction cache means a place where all the instructions are stored. What is the size of that instruction? It is of 4K. You have something called as data cache. Entire instruction, which is, for example, written, say suppose in the chat box when I write an instruction, add A, B. ये पूरा इंस्ट्रक्शन किधर स्टोर होगा? इंस्ट्रक्शन कैश में. but the value of A equal to 5 and B equal to 6, this value will be stored where? It will be stored in data cache. Okay. So the size of instruction cache is of 4K, size of the data cache is of 8K bytes. A data block that contains frequently accessed data in a textual or binary format. There you have one more block called as data block. What will that data block have? The data block will have all the recently fetched or recently accessed data. So now recently what have I executed? A is equal to 5 and B is equal to 6. Where is this a value of A 5 and B 6 will be stored? Either in the binary format or in the textual format, it will be stored in the data block. Okay, so you have 9 functional unit in which you have data path, that is the external and internal data buses, which starts from 32 bits, can be extended at 128 bits. You have instruction cache, which will store all the instructions for up till 4K bytes. You have data cache, which will store all the data up till 8K bytes. You have a data block, which will store all the recently executed data either in the binary format or in the textual format. Then it has a bus.
Ma'am, the data block and the data cache must be same, ma'am. Because
No.
they store.
No. Data cache is only storing a data which can be either in the binary format, which has to be only in the binary format. Whereas in the data block, I am converting that, I am copying either the binary data directly or I am converting into textual also and storing it. Understood? डेटा ब्लॉक में टेक्स्ट का डेटा भी है, बाइनरी डेटा भी है, बट ये डेटा कैश जो है उसमें खाली बाइनरी है. ओके. Bus, then you have a bus control unit. Bus control unit coordinates 64 bits of data transfer between the chip and outside world. What is that bus control unit? Bus control unit will be looking after the working of all the buses. So how many bus I have? Address bus and data bus है. कितने bits का? 32 से 122 तक. So either I can use 32 bit or I can use 64 bit or I can use 128 bits. It depends on how much data transfer I want to do. So who is going to control the 32-bit bus or 64-bit bus or 128-bit bus? It will be controlled by your bus control unit. Okay. Then next you have MMU. What is MMU? Memory Management Unit. So your memory part will be looked after by your memory management unit inside your RISC architecture. The RISC integer unit executes, load, stores the integer bit and control instruction and fetches the instructions or floating point control unit. Now you have one component or one unit called as RISC integer unit. What is the work of that RISC integer unit? It will do actual execution of the work. That means the ALU part of your normal processors will be done in your RISC processor by your RISC integer unit. So all the execution of arithmetic, logic unit, all the load instructions, store instructions, that means jitne bhi instruction your RISC architecture or a RISC processor supports, all those instructions will be executed by your RISC integer unit. Okay. There are two floating point control unit which executes concurrently. Now, if my data is in a floating point, 32.333, 43.666, ऐसा कुछ data है register में, तो वो floating point का execution will be handled by the separate units called as floating point control unit. ठीक है? That means the data will go in a floating point control unit. From there, it will go to the RISC integer. Okay. So they are first stored in the floating point control unit. From there, they will be picked by your RISC integer, which is your ALU part. It will be executed and again stored back the result in your floating point control unit. Okay. So your decimal integer values are separated from the floating values. Integer goes directly into the RISC integer unit, but your floating point first goes into the floating point control unit. From there, they are taken by the RISC integer, which is the ALU for the execution. And again, the result is stored back into the floating point control unit. Okay. Last, you have a graphic unit. What is the function of that graphic unit? It is used to look after by all your graphics. Data appropriate display hua hai ki nahi? Is the value being seen clearly on the monitor or not? All these graphic work is done by your graphic unit. Is this clear? So your RISC architecture is reduced instruction set, which will be executing very smaller instructions in one cycle. Size of the instruction is less than 16 bits and millions of instructions can be executed in 1 second. Clear? Let us go to the next, that is CISC. What is CISC? Complex Instruction Set Computer. Now complex means what? The instructions won't be simpler as RISC. RISC में सब simple execution हो गया, तो complex किधर होगा? CISC architecture में, okay, या फिर CISC processor में. So a CISC approach attempts to minimize the number of instructions per program, but at a cost of increasing the number of cycles per instruction. Did you remember in the RISC we had seen the number of cycles are less? It has reduced the cycles for instructions. Whereas why? Because the instructions were also small. But in CISC, since the instructions are complex and big, therefore they cannot be completed in one clock cycle. It will require more number of cycles for one particular instruction for the execution. What are the characteristics? It has complex instruction. Therefore decoding also becomes complex. The size of the instruction is larger than one word. That means it will be more than 16 bits. Whereas in RISC, it is less than 16 bits. Instruction can take more than one cycle. That means more than one cycle can be used for instruction to execute. Whereas in RISC, we were using only one cycle to complete the execution of a instruction. Your addressing modes are complex. There in RISC, addressing modes are simpler. The data types are less in RISC. The data types are more in RISC. Less number of general purpose registers as operations get performed in memory itself. There in RISC, you have more number of general purpose register, but here in CISC, you have less number of general purpose register. Let us take an example. Suppose if we want to add a 2 8-bit number. Okay. So if I have a 8-bit number as 1 0 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 plus 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. If I have a number like this written in the chat box, 2 8-bit numbers for addition, how is your RISC and CISC going to operate? That we will see now. What will CISC do? There will be a single command or an instruction for this, like add, which will perform a task. Okay. So what I have to write is simply add 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 plus 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. What instruction I will write? I will simply write this instruction, add 1 0 0 0 0 plus 0 0 0 0 if it is CISC architecture. Okay. Now this is considered to be complex. Why? Because I have to first find the mnemonic for add. Then this may be a memory location. Suppose if it is a memory location, it has to go in that memory location, take the data, again go into this memory location, take the data. That depends on what type of addressing mode I have used. So this becomes little complex. But if it is RISC, what will I do is, I will simply write load 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay. That means it is going to load this data 1 0 0 0 0. Then I will say again load second number as 0 0 0 0 8 times. Okay. Then I will simply write add 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 plus. Okay. So what I have done is one complex instruction of add 1 0 0 0 0 plus 0 0 0 0. I have divided into 3 simpler instruction. पहले 1 0 0 का जो वैल्यू है इसको लोड करो, 0 0 0 0 वाला वैल्यू लोड करो, and then you add 1 0 0 0 plus 0 0 0 0. So execution of this load will take less time. Execution of this load will also take less time. Execution of this add will also take less time. Why it will take less time? Because the values of the individual components are already loaded above. Okay, cycle required for this entire completion will be 1. एक ही cycle में I can complete all this because load भी कर दिया है, directly add ही करना है. But when I come to this instruction, only add 1 0 0 plus 0 0 0. इसको क्या करना है? खुद से ही लोड करना है. दोनों वैल्यू अलग अलग खुद से ही लोड करना है. Then it has to add. So my one cycle will not be enough to load and then add. Why? Because it is single instruction. Correct. So this is the difference between RISC and CISC. Though the instruction is complex, I can divide that complex instruction into a simple instruction and then execute through a RISC architecture. Are you understanding this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us see the difference between RISC and CISC. What is RISC? It mainly focuses on the software. RISC focuses mainly on the hardware. We require a single clock for execution, whereas in CISC we require multiple clocks. Instructions are very small in RISC. Instructions are very large in CISC. Instruction format in RISC is fixed of 32 bits, whereas in CISC it can change from 16 to 64 bits. Addressing modes are very less in RISC, up to 3 to 5, only 3 to 5, whereas in CISC we have 12 to 24 numbers of different addressing modes. Okay. General purpose registers are 32 to 192, whereas in CISC we have very less, from 8 to 24. Now the clock which operates at a speed is of 50 to 150 megahertz, whereas for CISC it operates at very less, which is 33 to 50 megahertz. Okay, cycles I require less than 1.5, but the cycle require is more than 1.5, which is 2 to 15 cycles. Okay, CPU control is hardwired, whereas here it is micro-coded. Now what is this hardwired and micro-coded? This will get more clear to you in the next topic. So for now, just remember RISC works on hardwired and CISC works on micro-coded, which is micro-programmed. Okay. So it depends on the instruction whether to select RISC or CISC. If an instruction is very complex and if you can break it in smaller, you go for RISC. But if your instruction is very complex and if you have that much address space and address bus and data bus size, you prefer CISC. Okay. So with this, we have come.
Ma'am, but in this, we have to give the outputs, right?
Yes, in each of them, yes. If let it be any processor, in every processor we have to give opcode and we have to give operand. But the values of the opcode changes from processor to processor. 8085 है तो उसमें अगर हमने देखा लोड का वैल्यू 00 है तो 8086 में वो लोड का वैल्यू चेंज भी हो सकता है. So the mnemonic table changes from a processor to a processor. Okay.
So ma'am, we have to by heart that mnemonic table.
You don't have to by heart. You get a book. एक बुक ही मिलता है प्रोसेसर के साथ. You just have to take that book, check into that book and just give your inputs. Abhi I have never by hearted that. I just went into the Google, we downloaded and we can just give the input. Aisa. And you cannot by heart also because it changes from processor to processor and you have thousands of such instructions. So it is not possible for a human brain to remember so much. Correct? So with this, we complete with the second part of your CPU architecture. That is addressing modes and RISC and the CISC architecture. Okay. So we are only left with the design part, which is hardwired control unit and microprogram control unit, which will be continuing tomorrow. Fine. Is this clear up to here, everyone?